Imagine this. You've done it. You've landed that incredible dream job overseas. Or maybe you got that acceptance letter from a foreign university. Perhaps you're finally sponsoring your spouse for their visa. You've jumped through all the hoops, feels like everything's sorted, bags are packed almost, and then bam. Often, right at the last minute, this one document trips you up. Something you barely knew existed. Or maybe you figured, hey, my passport covers this, right? Does yours out? No, it's your naturalization certificate, and it's suddenly the most critical piece of paper you need. So what's this all about? Well, today, in this deep dive, we're going to really unpack the vital role of that certificate form's N550, or N570 specifically, and crucially, why it almost always needs something called an apostille from the U.S. Department of State for, well, pretty much any big international move. We've seen it happen again and again, skipping this little seal. It can stop your plans dead in their tracks, stall your file for weeks.
That's absolutely right. Your U.S. passport feels like the main proof, doesn't it? But for a lot of authorities overseas, this specific apostille certificate, they see it as kind of the last stamp in your U.S. citizenship journey. It's a deeper level of proof they're looking for.
Okay, but why? Why isn't the passport enough?
Good question. So, a passport mainly confirms who you are and that you're currently a citizen. An apostille, and it's pronounced Apostille, by the way, it's basically an international certification. It makes your U.S. document legally recognized in other countries, specifically those part of the Hague Apostille Convention. It checks this signature on your certificate, who signed it, their authority. It adds this official layer of trust that, a passport alone just doesn't provide for certain really critical things. So today, we're going to walk through every single step, look at the hard numbers, the statistics showing why this is getting, trickier, and flag the common mistakes, the traps, so you can stay on track.
Yeah, looking at the data, what really jumped out at me was just the scale of this. The demand for these apostilled certificates, it's seriously booming, and it lines up perfectly with global mobility trends. Can you share some of those stats, the ones that really show why this is such a growing issue?
Absolutely. The numbers, they really tell a story.
Yeah.
So USCIS, that's U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, they approved, get this, 878,500 naturalization petitions in fiscal year 2024. That's not just a big number. It's a huge jump, 16% higher than 2023.
Wow, 16%. That's significant.
It is. And it's not just about becoming a citizen. It's what happens next.
Right. How does that connect to people moving abroad, working internationally?
It connects directly. According to the State Department's Overseas Citizen Services, about 31%, nearly a third of those new citizens, actually end up living, working, or studying outside the U.S. within 5 years of taking their oath.
31%. So almost 1 in 3 new citizens are potentially needing this.
Exactly. They're engaging with international systems that often demand this specific document. And then layer on top of that the whole remote work explosion. Global Work Analytics reported that remote-first companies hired 112,000 American professionals to work abroad just in 2024. And guess what? Pretty much every single one of those destinations needs an apostille naturalization certificate for background checks. It's part of the process.
Okay, so the surge, what does it mean practically for you listening? Just more forms.
Well, yes, more forms, but it's more than that. It means longer waits, longer queues at the government offices processing these.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, higher rejection rates if you try to do it yourself and make a mistake. It really means that precision, getting every little detail right the first time, it's more critical than ever. The whole system is under strain.
Makes sense. So it's clear this document is essential. Can we talk about some specific, maybe surprising situations where you absolutely must have this apostille?
Oh, definitely. It pops up in a really wide range of scenarios. Basically, anytime an employer, a migration officer, a university registrar needs absolute, undeniable proof of your U.S. citizenship for international recognition.
Can you give us some concrete examples? Like, where might someone listening actually run into this?
Sure. Let's say you're a healthcare worker or a teacher looking at a job in, say, Spain, Portugal, or maybe the Czech Republic. You'll need it. Applying for residency in Japan or South Korea. Yep, it's on their checklist.
Yeah.
Sponsoring your spouse to come to Australia. You'll need it for that too. Even things like claiming U.S. citizen tax benefits while living in the U.K. or setting up a business in Brazil under their investor visa rules.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes back to needing this specific apostilled certificate.
Wow.
So think about that for a second. What really stands out to you about just how broad that list is?
It's everywhere. It's not just one niche thing. It's work, family, finance, starting a business.
Exactly. It's fundamental for so many international activities. Demand for proving your citizenship beyond just flashing your passport, it's clearly growing.
Okay, that really drives the point home. So let's pivot to the practical side, the how-to. This can feel a bit overwhelming, I imagine. Let's break down the document checklist first. What do you absolutely need to pull together?
Right, the checklist. First and foremost, you need your original form, N550 or N570. That's your actual naturalization certificate. And this is key. No staples. Don't laminate it. It has to be clean, pristine. Any damage can cause rejection.
Original. No staples, no lamination. Got it. What's next?
Next up is Form DS4194. You need to fill this out and listen carefully here. Use black ink only.
Black ink. Okay.
Then a clear copy of your U.S. passport data page, the page with your photo and info. For payment, it's $20, but it has to be a money order or cashier's check. Make it payable to the U.S. Department of State. Definitely do not send a personal check. That's a classic mistake that causes major delays.
Right. Avoid personal checks. What else?
You need a prepaid return envelope. FedEx or UPS are recommended. And another critical point. The return address must be a U.S. address. The State Department simply does not ship these documents internationally. So you'll need a friend, family member, or maybe a service provider's U.S. address for the return.
Okay, a U.S. return address. That's important. Anything else for the packet?
Just a simple cover letter. Include your contact info, email, and phone. And if the country you're sending this to eventually doesn't use English as an official language, you'll need a certified translation of your certificate. And again, with the translation, don't staple it to the original or anything else. Keep everything loose.
Okay, that's the checklist. Now, how about submitting it? Our source mentioned a 5-step submission that survives the backlog. Sounds intense.
It's all about precision. Step 1, protect the paper. Seriously, slide that original certificate into a clear plastic sleeve. Then put that inside a rigid cardboard mailer. Why? Because those raised seals on the certificate, they can get torn or damaged really easily in flimsy envelopes during transit. You have to protect it.
Makes sense. Protect the original at all costs. Step 2.
Step 2. Complete the DS4194 form carefully. Double-check you've ticked the Certificate of Naturalization box and clearly written the destination country. Accuracy here prevents headaches later.
Okay.
Step 3.
Assemble the bundle. Just stack everything neatly. Certificate in its sleeve, the DS4194, your payment, the passport copy, the translation if you need one, and your cover letter. Remember, no staples, no paper clips, just a clean stack.
Clean stack. Got it.
Yeah.
Step 4 is shipping, right? Where does it go?
Exactly. Step 4. Ship to the Office of Authentications. And you need the exact address. It's Capitstobam, 44132 Mercure Circle, P.O. Box 1206, Sterling, Virginia, 2166 1206.
Whoa, that's a mouthful. Capstoa.
Yeah, it stands for Consular Affairs, Passport and Visa Services, Office of Authentications. Just make sure you get that address exactly right on your shipping label. And a pro tip, include both your outgoing and your return tracking numbers right there in your cover letter. It helps them connect everything.
Good tip. And the final step, Step 5. Step 5. Track it relentlessly. Start checking your tracking numbers every couple of days. Current processing time inside the State Department averages around 11 business days. But that's just the processing time. You need to factor in shipping time there and back. So tracking helps you stay informed and manage expectations.
11 business days processing, plus shipping. So realistically, if everything goes perfectly smooth, what's the total turnaround time we're talking about?
Yeah, if every single handoff is perfect, you're looking at roughly 3 calendar weeks total. Figure about 3 days for your package to get to D.C. via courier. Then those 11 business days, which is over 2 calendar weeks, for the State Department to do its thing. Then maybe another 3 days for it to get shipped back to your designated U.S. address. And finally, maybe 4 days for international shipping like FedEx to get it to you overseas.
3 weeks, best case. Wow, that really shows why you need to plan ahead.
Absolutely. No room for error if you're on a tight deadline.
Okay, let's talk about those errors. You mentioned pitfalls. Our source highlighted hidden costs you can dodge and common errors we see every Monday. And it said something striking that just 3 common mistakes account for, 70% of all the delays? That's huge.
It really is. And they're often simple things. First, those courier storage fees. People sometimes declare a commercial value on the shipment, which isn't necessary, and can trigger daily storage fees, sometimes up to $28 a day. That adds up fast.
Ouch. Okay, what's the second big one?
Sending a personal check for the fee. We mentioned it before, but it's worth repeating. It will bounce your application right to the back of the processing line. Use a money order or cashier's check only.
Money order or cashier's check. Got it. And the third major delay causer?
The return label. Sending a label with a foreign return address. The State Department staff literally cannot use it. They have protocols. They'll be forced to just send the whole unopened package back to you. massive delay.
Wow. So avoid commercial value declarations, no personal checks, and use a U.S. return address. Those three things alone solve 70% of delay issues.
According to the source, yes. Huge impact from small details. And there are others too.
Like what? What other common errors trip people up?
Using blue ink on the DS4194 form. The instructions clearly say black ink. Seems picky, but rules are rules. Getting your naturalization certificate notarized, you might think that adds validity, but it actually makes it ineligible. Federal documents like this can't be notarized for this process. Laminated certificates, as we said. The plastic covering prevents them from applying the embossed Apostille seal. Instant rejection. And mailing it to the wrong place. Sometimes people send it to their state secretary of state's office, but state offices handle state documents. For a federal document like a naturalization certificate, it must go to the Federal Office of Authentications of Virginia.
Man, so many ways to stumble. Let me share a quick story from the source about Carla, a nurse from Phoenix. It really highlights this. She got a great 2-year job offer in Lisbon, Portugal, but HR gave her a really tight deadline, just 21 days to get her apostilled naturalization certificate to them. Carla tried doing it herself, mailed it off, but she used a personal check. And crucially, she forgot the return label.
Oh boy. Classic mistakes.
Exactly. Predictably, the State Department put her file on hold. Day 13 rolls around, panic sets in, she's running out of time. She called a service provider for help. They moved fast, got a proper money order in, added the required return label, and managed to get her application into a priority processing stream. 10 days later, the apostilled certificate landed in Lisbon, just 2 days before her immigration appointment deadline. Talk about cutting it close. Her glowing review apparently tops their Google profile now.
That's a perfect example. It really shows the value of getting it right or using a service that knows the ropes. Services often do a pre-submission check, catching those errors before they cause delays. Many offer daily hand delivery to the State Department, which actually lets you bypass the slower public mailroom queue. And having real-time online tracking gives you peace of mind, letting you see exactly where your vital document is. It's about reducing stress and maximizing your chances when time is tight.
Absolutely. Okay, let's wrap up with some quick-fire questions, common things people ask based on the FAQs in our source. First one, can you use a color photocopy of your certificate?
Nope, absolutely not. Has to be the original N550 or N570 or an official replacement ordered directly from USCIS. No shortcuts there.
And walk-in service, can you just show up at the State Department?
Not anymore. That was suspended back in 2020. It's all mail-in now. No exceptions.
Okay, what about validity? Once you get the apostille, how long is it good for? Does it expire?
Technically, the apostille itself doesn't have an expiration date. It's valid indefinitely. However, and this is a big however, many foreign authorities, especially for immigration or residency, will only accept documents that have been apostilled recently. Often, they want it issued within the last 6 months. So while the stamp doesn't expire, its acceptance might. You always need to check the specific requirements of the requesting agency in your destination country.
That's a really important distinction. Always check the local rules. What if the worst happens and your original certificate gets damaged?
Yeah, that's a tough spot. If it's damaged, you have to apply for a replacement certificate from USCIS using Form N565.
Yeah.
Be prepared, though. The current fee is $555, and the processing time for a replacement is typically around 4 months.
4 months, wow. All the more reason to protect that original document like gold.
Exactly. So, pulling this all together, you see, it's not just about bureaucratic hoops or stamps on paper. It's really about securing your global future, whether it's that job, reuniting with family, getting that education. Getting this document right is often a critical key. And, our sources also mention the importance of privacy and security. Reputable handlers use strong encryption and protocols to protect your very sensitive personal info and original documents. And good services can handle apostilles not just for federal docs, but for documents from all 50 states too, which is handy if you have other paperwork needs.
So to recap our deep dive today, that naturalization certificate apostilles might seem like a tiny detail, but it can honestly make or break your international plans. Understanding the process, knowing the exact steps, being aware of those common pitfalls, it can save you weeks of headaches and, frankly, hundreds of dollars in potential fees or lost opportunities.
And it leads to a bigger thought, perhaps. In our world that's getting more connected every day, what other seemingly small bureaucratic steps are we maybe overlooking? Steps that are actually vital gateways to achieving our global goals, our aspirations.
That's a great question to ponder. Take a look at your own documents. Think about your future plans. Could this apply to you? That naturalization certificate needing an apostille, it might just be the most important piece of paper you weren't even thinking about.